quite unfortunate pictures that we've been looking at of a Lego market that in Amuru district. It's quite really sad. We hope for the best, and we shall be giving you more on that story as the day goes by. But right about now, we have entered that segment of Kickstarter where we talk about issues that affect you at home. And today, we're talking about something very, I would say, something difficult to talk about, and sometimes couples fail to discuss this issue, and the issue is infertility. Now, for the past few months and probably years, there has been reports of increased violence, domestic violence in families, and this has been linked to infertility. To demystify this topic, I have Dr. Namaganda Beatrice, UMC Victoria Hospital, to talk about this and more. Doctor, good morning.
Morning, Idris.
Before we get into the topic, first tell the viewers what you do exactly as a doctor.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Dr. Beatrice Namaganda Banada, like Idris said. I'm a consultant at UMC Victoria Hospital, an obstetrician, gynecologist.
Okay, so doctor, infertility, how do you define it?
Infertility we define as failure to conceive by a reproductive couple that has been having regular intercourse. Of course, regular we qualify as at least 3 times
in a week. A day?
A week.
A week.
And they've tried for 12 months or more. Although we have special consideration for couples where the woman is 35 years and above, for those ones we don't wait for 12 months to say it's infertility. We actually consider 6 months.
6 months for a 35-year-old woman and above.
Yes.
Why 35?
Because as the years go by, the chances of a woman getting pregnant reduce. Why do they reduce? There's something we call the ovarian reserve. Ovarian reserve reduces as the years go by.
Yeah.
So by 35, the ovarian reserve we consider considerably reduced, and we wouldn't want to wait for a full 12 months before we actually
say that you are infertile.
This person, While we wait, the ovarian reserve is actually getting depleted.
When does it get depleted?
It's different for everyone. We are all born with different number of eggs. On average, you'll be with around 7 million at conception, a few weeks after conception. Yeah. And then they'll start reducing. But when you get to puberty, with every menstrual cycle that comes in, they'll be recruited for that month. And only one will become the dominant egg for that month. Yeah. And the others will be wasted. So they are wasted every month. They
reduce.
As the years go by, they are reducing.
So every menstrual cycle a woman gets, they lose an egg.
Not just an egg.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the menstrual cycle, which is when the person is menstruating, there's recruiting of eggs for that cycle that has started. Okay. And you recruit around 20 of them, and yet only one will become the dominant one that can possibly be fertilized for that month. And if there's no fertilization, even that one
lose
is lost.
The 20.
Yeah, all the 20 are lost together with that one if there's no fertilization of that one.
There have been cases where 45-year-old women have conceived. Is there an age a woman should look out for and say, when I clock this age, I have no hope?
Let me put it this way. As far as age is concerned, there's what we call menopause. Yeah. If you get to menopause, then the hope of conceiving is like 0. Meaning you've depleted your ovarian reserve. Yeah. And yet menopause, when you say when and age, it's really variable. Worldwide, we put it at 50, 51.
Mm.
And yet when you come to specific communities, it's not 50-51 for all of them. You find, for example, in our communities here in Uganda, there are those which are around 45.
It happens even earlier.
And then there are those who go beyond the 50-51.
And at 55 and someone can conceive?
Yes.
Amazing. Now, you've talked about the infertility in women. What about in men?
Actually, what I was mentioning before is that it's couples' problem. I wasn't talking about it as a woman's problem.
Yeah, I get that, doctor.
Yes.
Though when I was trying to understand when a woman can know that they are infertile, so for the viewer's sake, how does a man know that they are impotent?
Impotent and infertile
are two different things.
Different things. Infertile actually includes impotence, as in impotence could be a cause of infertility in a man.
Okay.
But now for the men, most of the time, the investigation we would want to do on the man would be something we call semen analysis. Semen analysis involves looking at the semen, and there are a number of things we look at. How much are you producing? What's the count of sperms in there? Yes, they are sperms, but are they alive or are they all dead? Okay, they are alive. Are they moving? Okay, they are moving. Are they moving in the right direction? Fine, they are moving in the right direction. Are they normal sperms? Do they have two heads with a tail? Do they have two tails with
Are they healthy?
Are they? Yes. So there's so much we look at, even just for semen analysis for the men.
Do we also have, as men, do we also have age brackets that we have to look out for and say, when you clock 35, there is an issue of infertility?
Yes. Much as I said menopause for the women, there's also something called andropause for the men.
Okay.
That one you can look it up. But yes, around 65 above, andropause sets in.
So a man 65 and above could actually become infertile and not be able to produce?
They are not becoming infertile.
They have just
for them,
cases.
their hormones, the male hormones, will be reducing. That's with andropause.
All right. Doctor, what is the rate of infertility in Uganda?
Now, for the rate of infertility in Uganda, let me first say this. We don't have like pooled data about infertility in Uganda, and not so much money has been put into this topic, like to try and research and give us data you can really work with. But let me put it this way again. If we say worldwide, infertility is like 10 to 15%. For the developing countries, it's different. You'd say 1 in 4 women have infertility, or 1 in 4 couples have infertility, and that would bring it to like 25%. So, as part of the developing country, yes, it's a very common problem. If you're going to say 1 in 4, that's too many.
You've mentioned something interesting, that there is lack of funding in terms of making research on the topic. Why is that so? Is it people do not want to talk about this issue publicly?
It's not that they don't want to talk about the issue, but the donors have their own interests, and they have certain reasons for choosing to fund certain problems. But for some reason, infertility is not one of those topics that has been prioritized by the donor agencies or countries. And if you ask me, I wouldn't know their thinking about infertility. But I know very well infertility is very expensive. Managing it is very expensive, that you'd have to put in a lot of money.
Amazing. You talked about tests that are done for men and for women to actually go and be sure either you are infertile or not. What are some of these tests, and where could people go to do these tests?
Now, I'll start with the simple ones. We can do a scan, pelvic scan, That scan can tell us if, for example, the woman's uterus is normal, if the ovaries are present or not.
Yeah.
Basically, if the pelvic organs are normal. And then we can do hormonal analysis. Hormones are not cheap, but yeah, it's one of the things that we usually start with. And for hormones, there's so many of them that could actually be affecting one's reproductive life. But we can't actually investigate all hormones because, like I said, they're expensive, and yet there are so many that we can investigate for that. So we choose a few. We can't choose to do like 6, 7, 8. And that would include hormones like the ones which tell us about the ovarian reserve, what I talked about, how many eggs this woman has left. That there's a hormone that can actually tell us that. There's a hormone that can tell us if you're actually growing eggs. Okay, there are hormones which come from the brain, and they tell the ovaries to grow these eggs that we were talking about earlier on.
Yeah.
And then there are other hormones which actually go from there and tell the uterus to prepare in case there's a fertilization and there's need for implantation. So you can actually go do some investigation on these hormones, see if this person's system is working right, if it's producing the hormones right. And then there are other investigations which will include things like scopes. Now, scopes are cameras on wires connected to certain instruments that can actually go in and look and see.
Yeah.
For example, the hysteroscopy, that one looks in the uterine cavity. There are others which would be checking for patency of the tubes of the woman. If, for example, the tubes are open or blocked, that one is the hysterosalpingogram. It's also a special one. And I must say, I'm talking about all these investigations, and it's not like everyone can afford because most of them are really expensive.
And for the men?
For the men, it's mostly the semen analysis that we want to do on them.
You've talked about age, hormonal changes, etc. Can violence, domestic violence, someone being beaten, someone being tortured, can that cause infertility?
We don't consider it as a cause of infertility, domestic violence per se, but let me put it this way. If you already have factors contributing to infertility, and then you have all kinds of stressors in addition to that, that is not helping the situation. Why? Because with stress, the hormones in your body are actually produced different. Stress leads to production of certain chemicals in your body, and these chemicals have an impact on the production of the reproductive hormones now. So with stress, you're only compounding the issue. We won't consider it the cause of the infertility, but it can really complicate the issue. And as far as violence goes, with infertility, there's so much anxiety, distress. You find people separating just because of that. You find people really distressed because of this. And it leads to violence just because someone is not getting what they want out of the other partner. And in many cases, they won't even have investigated themselves to find out if it's them or the other person. But yeah, it causes trouble between couples.
So the farther you are trapped in this situation, which is causing you more and more stress, the more chances that you are going to become infertile.
Not become infertile.
Or encourage the infertility.
Yeah, it will compound your infertility. Because remember, you're getting stressed because you're failing to conceive or you have infertility. So it's not like the stress is the one causing your infertility, but with the stress, yes. It's
catalyzing it. What about for men? We've seen cases where people have been tortured and they have been groped in their manhood areas, squeezed, whatever. So many unspeakable things have been done. That causes infertility?
No, I won't say it causes infertility just because you're having fights which involve like someone, you know,
squeezing your manhood.
But trauma per se, trauma to the testes, because that's where the sperms are made, can actually result in that.
Quite unfortunate. Well, now, moving on to a more precarious issue. What are the remedies? Because a viewer out there would be wondering, I am infertile, I have in a situation where I'm stressed. What can I do to get out of this issue?
First of all, you need to go for a consultation with the specialists. Now, with a consultation, that's how we get to discover what could be the cause of this. And then, depending on what the cause of your infertility is, we can actually get to like a solution for you. I'll give an example. There's a very simple one of a couple is trying at the wrong time. I've seen people like that. There's certain times during a menstrual cycle when you can actually conceive if you had intercourse. And then you'll find that this particular couple doesn't know what the right time is. But if they came in for a consultation, and while you're taking this history from them, you actually discover they're trying at the wrong time. That one is very easy to manage. It will be a matter of advising on when they should try, the right time during the menstrual cycle that they should try. But now I'll give an example. If someone is failing to conceive, and when they come in, we are doing investigations, we discover that, for example, there's a hormone we call the anti-Mullerian hormone, which reflects how much your ovarian reserve is, how much you're left with. If we did that hormone and it's very low, below normal range, then the hope for that person conceiving is like very minimal, not there almost. If you come in and it say the tubes, we do investigations and we discover it's your tubes which are blocked. Same thing. Tubes are not an easy like thing to deal with when they have blockage. Sometimes you'll go for surgery to try and correct what the issue is, and surgery won't do much for you. But now for people like that, there are what we call assisted reproductive technologies, including the commonly known IVF. And depending on what your cause is, we will see how to get to the solution. But then again, I'll say that not everyone with infertility that comes to the specialists, that is worked up by the specialists, will actually succeed. Thing is, you won't know who is going to succeed and conceive and who is not going to conceive. So you just have to encourage everyone to try their luck. Come in and see if we can establish what the problem is and see if we can actually get a solution for that person.
Amazing. Well, if you have just joined us, we are talking about infertility and how it's linked to violence. If you have views on this, make sure to go to our social media platforms, that is on Facebook and Twitter. Look out for NTV Uganda or Idris Matusega or myself, and share your views on infertility. Have you had an experience on this topic? Now, as we conclude, a doctor, what are some of the cases that you have encountered that infertility, how has it affected these couples, and to what extent has it damaged Ugandans?
It's even kind of hard to talk about it. But when you see, because it's mostly the women who come in, when you see these women, these are women who seem to have like lost interest in life just because they really failed to conceive. These are women who come in really sad, and they'll keep coming back, the ones who can afford to actually do that. But every time they're, basically when you see them, they look sad, they look down. They're just trying to find a way of conceiving. It's causing depression in people. And of course, it's the little that we see in the clinic that will make you wonder about what exactly is going on in their homes. And you know, with our societies, there's a lot of like involvement of the extended family in issues of a certain couple, that even those ones will only like stress the people more. And
it's tough.
It's very, very tough. for these patients.
Well, doctor, as we conclude, where can these people, these couples, come for help?
They can come to UMC Victoria Hospital. Beginning today, we have a free consultation camp.
Beginning today?
Beginning today.
How long is the consultation?
Until tomorrow but 1. That's 23rd of Feb. And with a free consultation, of course, if you're lucky and your problem can be sorted just with a consultation, that would be good. But for those who require investigation to like get more knowledge about what could be causing issues for them, there will be investigations that can be done at a subsidized cost. What would be like the 100% usual cost has been cut by 20% for these people, so they can't come in. And when it comes to some of the procedures to help with the treatment, they've also been subsidized. So we are encouraging them to come to UMC Victoria. First of all, with the free infertility consultation, and then the subsidized lab investigation.
What advice would you give to couples who are facing this challenge?
I would advise them, first of all, to seek medical help. While you sit back, nothing will happen. Remember I said, even when you come to us, we're not guaranteeing 100% success for whoever comes in.
Yeah.
But it's better for them to keep the hope and keep looking for a solution by coming in for us to actually investigate them.
Give the help.
And help them.
Doctor, thank you so much for coming through and talking to us about this very important